back into play. And with that, Melton just was not able to glove it appropriately with all that spin.
So as a result, Melton's a tough one. She's going to stay in there, but Indiana State starts with 2 hits. And here's a look at it again.
You see that goes. You saw the spin come off that bat, and it just hit that barrel the right way off Megan Hensley's pitch, and it just had some wicked spin on the side.
And that's what created it. Here's Brooke Mann coming to the plate. Brooke, a senior, batting .290 on the year. She has knocked in 9 runs, and right now, Suzanne, a perfect situation to get something going here in the top of the first for the Sycamores.
Absolutely. This is exactly what Coach Perchinero wants to see, or Coach Pooch, as his team refers to him.
I like that.
Uh-huh.
Good pitch by Megan that time. That evens the count at 1-1. Hensley, the veteran from Ashland, Kentucky. And boy, what a career she's had. And she's also a threat with the bat. That's bunted in the air and fielded nicely at first base by Snyder. That's a big out right there, Suzanne.
That was a huge out, and you actually saw both Kira Snyder and Sid Melton really crunching in because they saw the batter showed bunt, and so they really came in. You see it here again, and she gets her barrel underneath. She dipped that right shoulder just too much, and that's what sent the ball up into the air.
And good communication there to get that ball that was bunted not too high in the air. But now the Cardinals trying to pick up that big second out now. And, of course, the Sycamores trying to advance the runner still. The pitch, swing and a miss. Went after the high heater.
You see Bella Peterson showing bunt up there at the plate. Really, if a batter is struggling in the box, they're going to show bunt. It helps the batter see the ball just a little bit better. And I don't think it really makes a difference, but some people think, you know what, maybe I can throw the pitcher off just a smidge if I go ahead and show bunt or pull that first and third in to come crashing in, and then I'm going to swing away.
Yeah. Hensley gets the big K there.
That was a big, big out for the Cards.
So now there's 2 down. With runners aboard, still Sims down at second, Martin aboard at first. They open the game with back-to-back hits. That one down in the dirt.
Senior Shea Barton here up at bat as well. She's one that the Cardinals really have to be careful how they pitch to her. She is leading, she is second on the team, with a batting average of .407. So she's another threat to have up at the plate.
That just missed on the inside corner.
It was a beautiful pitch by Hensley.
Yeah.
Just a smidge off the plate. Some batters will try and pull that down the left field line.
And there you see again as Hensley comes plateward. Popped up in foul ground, and that's going to be out of play over in the hitting area. Beautiful park here, Ulmer Stadium. I actually worked with the development office and the athletic department on the feasibility study for this whole complex years ago.
Amazing.
And to see it come to fruition, it's just amazing. And this was really one of the cornerstone parts of it early, along with track and field, is that one's fouled off to the left. A battle between Hensley and Barton with 2 outs and 2 on.
Hensley is really doing a great job moving that ball around just on the inside corner. We'll see if maybe she goes outside this pitch. Nope, she sticks with the inside ball.
But good enough because the guessing way out in front of it was Barton.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, you can really see it from that center field camera. And by the way, we thank everybody with the ACC Network Extra, led by our man Jeremy Noe and the rest of the crew. Glad to be with you, and we'll be here all tournament long. That's fouled outside of third. Got a good mixture of teams, too. I think it's when you have a classic like this, the idea, and I think, as you mentioned, with the snow coming in on Sunday, really good job by the athletic staff to move things around to maximize the time you have to play the games.
Sure. Well, and I know Coach Holly was a little bummed to have to cut it a day short.
Mm-hmm.
and another game short. So Louisville had to drop a game this weekend as a result of that. They were supposed to play Missouri twice, and they only get to see them once. But still, to have 4 games out of 5 on a weekend such as this is still not too shabby.
Yep. Holly April, by the way, played at UMass in 1992, and we were meeting with her a couple of days ago. That's high and tight, or did it get her? It did get her.
Oh, yeah, she got it right in the chest.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
That one got away from Megan Hensley. She was still hitting that inside pitch. And when Shea Barton went to turn to take that pitch, I mean, it hit her square in the chest. You can see it here.
Watch.
She just turned.
Oh, goodness.
Took one for the team.
You can see kind of holding that right shoulder a little bit, but more importantly now the bases are loaded with 2 out here in the top of the first as Indiana State trying to play to run, and Megan Hensley and the Louisville Cardinals on defense here in the top of the first trying to stop that. And that one's high, and Cousineau had to go upstairs in a hurry to grab it.
That was very athletic of Coos to jump up and snag that pitch out of the air here. And she'll go to the mound to calm her pitcher down, say, okay, you misplaced that one. Let's move forward. Come on. We've got bases loaded. Let's get this out. Go to work.
Well, you could see the breath from Hensley as it's supposed to be around 40 today. That pitch is up high. I would have to think, especially if you're handling the ball on every play, this weather is not perfect to pitch in.
It is not. Your hands are going to be cold. But this right here is a very important pitch for Megan Hensley.
Yep, 3-0 count.
And a perfect fastball straight down the middle, thank goodness.
Yep. Robbie Guess, Scott Mayer, and Chris Neighbors are umpires today. Home plate, second and third. And that's a ball 4 and walks in a run. So Indiana State gets the run the easy way. And still with 2 out and the bases loaded. You don't see Megan do that very much at all.
That wasn't her best pitching effort up at bat. You can tell as she snaps that ball into her glove. She is not happy with that.
Swing and a miss. Guercio, right-handed batter. There's a taken strike. Just got to concentrate on getting this out now and not make it any worse.
A real test for the Cardinals here, especially having number 2 Leslie Sims on third base. Any ball that gets out of the glove of Madison Cousineau, Leslie Sims is going to be into home plate before she has time to react.
She could be up here with us.
Yes, she is.
That's fouled back to the screen. That's that great speed. Of course, when this game started years ago, and believe me, I called it years ago, is kind of all small ball. It's changed over the years. Now kind of a combination of both, but speed has always been a key part of women's softball. Breaking pitch, just missed a little bit low. And now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. I'm sure Holly April and Coach Joyner and company, Ashley Lane, want to see this outcome right here if possible. There it is on a swing and a miss, but a good start by Indiana State as they're able to get a run as it's walked in, and the Cardinals just now coming to bat. Network Extra, ACC Network Extra, will have the Louisville, Missouri game on our full telecast coming up after this one. And Louisville, of course, taking on Indiana State in this game. We also have Missouri and IUPUI in town. And Louisville trying to get a run back, and swinging on the first pitch is Melton. Well, Sydney's been an outstanding player for Louisville for years, and perfect player to have at the top of that order.
Yes, her senior leadership, you can just tell. She is more, I would call her more of a quiet leader. She's one of the leaders that leads by example as opposed to very vocal. You'll see Celine Funky. She's more of the vocal leader of the team, I would say. Sid Melton, she kind of sits back and says, okay, I'm going to show you other ladies who are coming onto this team what it means to wear this Cardinal jersey.
And that's important. That's when you move to that senior position. Right-hander comes to the plate, and Melton fouls this one back. What about Snyder? We talked about her. Outstanding ERA average, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
0.81.
And she's 3-0 on the season so far. And this week, she was just named Missouri Valley Conference's Newcomer of the Week.
That's pretty strong.
I would say so.
Pitched in 26 innings, and she gets a big strikeout to start the game. And boy, when you're in that circle on a cold day like that, that's a pretty good start. And I'm sure Snyder feels the same. And now Celine Funky, the junior left-handed batter. Kicking the pitch, that right down the heart of the plate.
I always admire the ladies who can come out here with no under sleeves. I mean, it is 30 degrees out there.
It's like the offensive lineman in football. This hit
There's a great
well
hit.
into left field, and that's going to go to the wall, making the turn, and Funky's going to go for 3, and she's going to be in there sliding.
You
How
see
about
her
that
vocal,
play?
and that's Celine Funky right there. She's all pumped up. She's getting the team hyped. She's saying, all right, let's go. I'm in scoring position. Bring me home, Megan Hensley. You see the replay there.
She jumped on it, didn't she?
She sure did.
And did not hesitate one iota. It was bobbled a bit, but she was going for 3 no matter what.
Absolutely. Well, and she picked up Coach Holly as she's rounding first base.
Right.
I thought Holly was going to windmill herself into the air. Her arm was moving so fast.
And now Megan Hensley with a chance to help her own cause and get that run back. Of course, she's a great hitter as well, batting .310 on the season. That one low and away. Good job by Mann, the catcher, to move over and keep it from going back to the backstop.
Yeah, that was a great block there. Important block.
2 home runs, 10 runs driven in by Hensley. That leads the team, and in a perfect situation now. And the advantage to Megan because the count is 3-0.
And that was a good take there by Megan Hensley, laying off that rise ball.
Snyder looks down. Now she kicks and pitches. That's a take and strike all the way. And that makes it 3-1. Boy, got some hardcore folks out here today bundled up.
Brought the extra blankets and in for the long haul. Missouri already has some fans out there.
It's a great facility, and that's the nice part of it. Hit a mile high in the air, and that in fair ground, the shortstop comes over. Marcinek, and boy, you talk about one that was way up the elevator.
That was way up in the air. She really, you can see it here. She dips that shoulder just a smidge as she makes contact. And because of that, the barrel then gets on the bottom half of the ball, pops it up into the air.
And that's a big second out for Snyder. And she's going to try to stop things here on Ferguson, and a swing and a miss by Caitlin. The junior from beautiful Versailles, Kentucky. And if you're not from this area, I would call that the heart of horse country. Of course, Georgetown, Midway, all the way, Versailles, Paris, Kentucky, take a choice. Ferguson swings and misses, and she's quickly down. And one thing for sure, you can see the right-hander for Indiana State not falling behind the hitters at all.
This is a critical at bat for the Louisville Cardinals. They need to score Celine Funk to get the equalizer.
Yep.
Funky, pardon me.
Good job taken by Ferguson high and inside. Ferguson batting .233. She's knocked in 6 runs, just trying to make contact and force the Sycamores to make a play. Good protection just on the outside part of the plate.
Nice heads-up play there by Ferg just to have her bat meet that ball. It was an outside pitch. There was no way she was going to get great contact unless she was stepping toward it, which she was not. So she was able just to foul that off.
1-0 Indiana State. Funky at third base as Ferguson fouls this pitch back, and it holds in 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 out. If you joined us late, Indiana State scored that run with the bases loaded and a Hensley walk. So now the Cardinals in the bottom of the first inning trying to get that tying run with 2 down. And the pitch. Good job again, just protecting the dish. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. That ball was going to be close as far as whether or not it was going to be a strike. It might have been a little inside, but smart heads-up play there by Caitlin Ferguson to really turn on that ball and take it down the left field.
So Snyder firing the strikes, Ferguson fouling him off. This is one grounded just outside the bag at third, between the third base coaching box and Funky over there. Of course, we enjoyed so much talking to Holly about why she came here. Of course, she did a great job at Pitt, was ACC Coach of the Year. She was pretty straightforward, the facilities. And she also said, we came here so many times to play in the tournaments because Louisville always hosted them.
Right.
I felt like I knew the city.
Yep.
What a great hire, though, by Vince. That's up high.
She brings a lot of energy. She brings a new perspective. Obviously, hats off to Coach Sandy Pearsall. She built
Founder
the program.
Yep.
Yes, she built this program from the ground up. But I think Holly has, been able to step in and say, okay, new coach, new perspective. You see that ball go way fly into the air.
Yeah. Well, we'll finish your story when we come back.
Yes.
Cardinals had the opportunity to tie, but give Indiana State credit as they get the pop out to win the inning. One nothing ball game, Indiana State, as we move to the top half of the second inning. Glad you're watching our coverage on ACC Network Extra, along with Suzanne Butch. I'm Don Russell. So glad you joined us today. We'll have the Missouri game and a full telecast coming up after this game here at Ulmer Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky. Glad to have you along. Riley Heklinski will begin things and takes a strike on the outside corner. A freshman from Anna Maria Island, Florida. It's probably a little bit warmer there.
I bet
today,
she's missing
Riley.
that weather now, for sure.
Send some sunshine,
Right.
please. That just did get the outside corner. Quickly ahead is Hensley. Megan just had that shaky first inning, which is not hard to do. It's your home opener. It's not great weather. Things have been moved around, so I think you'll see her settle in now. That one, a check swing down the right field line, and That ball's not going to be real easy to see, as you could see.
I know.
Time.
Riley Schindler, you could see her shifting around a little bit, trying to get underneath it. And with the flat light,
Right.
that's going to affect your ability to see the ball. You can see the replay here. You can see how Schindler kind of shifted back and forth, like, hold on, which way is that going?
She played it well, though, kept it in front of her. Yeah, there was actually kind of a haze and a fog and a mist this morning.
Yeah, it's not the prettiest of weather.
And Malcho hits this one into left field and right in her tracks. An easy play for Butler. And that's 2 quick outs for the Cards.
Outfielders helping out Megan Hensley there as she's dishing well. I think that first inning, you're right. It's the jitters. It's the, hey, we've got our home crowd. We're on our home turf. We have to represent. And, even on that first batter, the ball tipped off Megan Hensley's glove, which kind of started that snowball effect and loaded the bases. That's just jitters. That's first game jitters. Everybody's got them. They'll calm into it, and it looks like Megan Hensley has calmed herself, centered. I like to call clear the mechanism, if you know. And she's back on track here.
Leslie Sims at the plate. The junior out of Hope, Indiana. She had a single to begin the game, back-to-back singles from Sims and Martin.
She shows bunt.
Yep. And
she lays it down. Yep. She was looking down that third base line to lay that bunt down. So because she is so fast, her first step is so quick. Sid Melton has to react so quickly in order to get that out because Leslie Sims' speed.
Well, that's a good job on your part, Suzanne, as you talk about so many key players, and this young lady for ISU is the straw that stirs the drink, that's for sure. And when she starts off and puts pressure on whoever Indiana State's playing and can run the base pass, that's just all extra. And look at this at-bat. She's just making Megan throw good pitches and just fouling them away. Now, one thing we'll be watching, one of the new rules, of course, softball is known for its slapping.
Yes.
Is now you have to stay in the box
Absolutely.
when you hit the ball. So it'll be interesting.
And they have really cracked down on calling this rule. So as a slapper, you see how she takes that left front foot and crosses over. It's that crossover step that the umpires are really watching carefully. And anytime they're breaking that boundary, they're going to call them out.
Well, a great inning for Hensley, and what a difference it makes. And it remains 1-0 Indiana State. Welcome back to Homer Stadium, along with my partner, Suzanne Bush. I'm Don Russell. It's softball time, and glad to have you along for Louisville and Indiana State. A couple of games today, and we're talking about the Cardinal Softball Classic. It's been a lot of fun, and Suzanne, I can't tell you how I'm excited to not only be a part of the program with the new coach, Holly doing a great job, and to work with you. It's going to be a great year. And Chung is a young lady you know quite a bit about, and that's a new face to Cardinal fans.
It sure is. Rebecca Chung, number 37, freshman. And I tell you what, I got to watch the Cardinals practice a couple of days ago, and I'm not sure I've ever seen someone hit the ball so hard and so consistently, especially as an incoming freshman. I mean, she sees the ball so well, and she drills it. So there is, I mean, obviously she's a designated player here for the Cards. There is a reason she is in this lineup as a freshman, as she
puts it in the alley. That's
Yep.
the reason. And she's going to have a stand-up double. Good call, my friend. Great job, partner, as the California native says. Yes, I'm part of the team.
Right. If there is anybody you want up in a clutch situation, up at bat, it is Rebecca Chung. She seems to just have these ice water veins as she drills this to the left center field. Just a great double for Rebecca Chung.
And she didn't even get all of it. It was kind of
Right.
it wasn't on the barrel of the bat, but that's the way you want to start an inning. She's down at second base, and now we go to Snyder. Swings and misses on a breaking pitch. Kara, another one of the veteran players.
Kira hasn't really hit her stride yet this season as far as being up at the plate. But she's got such a quality bat. She just needs to, I think the more she gets into season, you'll see her stats really increase.
Yep. Batting only 156. She started every game. Left-handed batter, sophomore out of Lake Forest, California. She hammers this one into left center field. That's a hit. On the way to the plate is Chung. It's cut off, and we're tied at 1. Well, that helps with your slump if you're in one for Snyder there, producing the game-tying RBI.
Equalizer. That was a great hit ball there by Kira Snyder. As you see it again, she really just kept her eyes on that ball, kept her shoulders level, just hit a nice line drive into the outfield for Rebecca Chung to score.
Boy, that's the way you do it.
I was actually surprised to see that Schneider, the pitcher for Indiana State, didn't turn that ball. Rebecca Chung, while she has a quality bat, is not the quickest player on this Cards team. I actually think Schneider had a chance to get her at home, but she didn't take it. She was watching first base, Kira Snyder.
And that's those little decisions. And, again, you know better than anyone. You don't have a lot of time to mull over the options.
No, I mean, it's a snapshot. And if you're a good team, you've got quality infielders, they should be communicating to you where to throw that ball. And so obviously someone called Schneider off and said, hold the ball, look one, and didn't call home.
But that's an RBI and a big one indeed for Snyder. And now Charlie Butler, the talented freshman from Roundleman, North Carolina, 5'5". They're excited about this young player as well.
Yes, Coach Holly spoke about Charlie to us this week and said she's got bright plans or big plans for Charlie Butler.
Tried to get her to go after one outside, or maybe thinking that there might be some running. That pitch was well out of the strike zone.
Charlie really wanted to jump on that pitch and realized she held off far enough, but she jumped over that center line to try and not hit that ball.
Went way out of the strike zone after that one, and she'll take her bat back to the bench. Well, that was kind of a freshman at-bat that time.
You could see the nerves there. Yep. She was chasing balls that she normally wouldn't chase had she been in a groove. One thing that Coach Holly really presses again on her offensive side are quality at-bats.
Yep.
She says, I don't care about the teams or the individual stats. I don't care what your batting average is. If every single person in my lineup gives me a quality at-bat, meaning base hit, meaning if I take a pitch for the team into the shoulder, whatever it takes, or getting to base on balls, whatever that takes, those are quality at-bats. I want to see you in scoring position. I want to see you on the bases. I don't want to see you swinging or taking balls just because you want to hit the ball. Do it for the team, not for your individual stats.
That's a great point. As Cousineau comes to the plate, she's a senior out of Otto, North Carolina. That's a great point, too, in that she charts things in a particular way where the team can see how those individual pieces come to make a whole.
Absolutely.
And they're all evaluated that way. It was really interesting, and she's been using this system for a long, long time. Now we're going to have a break. Looks like the pitching coach is going to come out for a moment and have a conversation with the Indiana State right-hander.
I think Schneider is having trouble maybe hitting some of her spots. The ball is getting away from her a little bit. As you see, she's putting her hand in her back pocket trying to keep that hand warm. But I'm sure that cold is playing a factor in how you can grip the ball, how it feels. And then from a batting perspective, I tell you what, Dawn, there is nothing like the feel of a bat sting in the cold. And for those of you who have played baseball or softball, I know you know what I'm talking about. So if you don't hit that ball just in the right spot, I mean, your hands just sting. And it takes minutes for that sting to dissipate.
Oh, I bet you can feel it forever.
Ooh, I can feel it now.
You can still feel it.
Yes.
I can still. She's rubbing her hands together to warm them up.
Oh, there's nothing that feels like that for sure.
7-3 Indiana State taking on 7-6 Louisville. Both teams, of course, have been away from home. A check swing and a call strike on Cousineau. But the home opener, glad you joined us on ACC Network Extra, along with Suzanne Bush. I'm Don Russell, and thanks for being with us. We'll have this game today, and then Louisville and Mizzou coming up. And now we have a walk, and Louisville for the first time has 2 runners on base. And I don't know if the conversation with the pitching coach helped very much there, but you can see the communication still looking that way. That's the interesting part of the game for me now, Suzanne, is the way they communicate. There's a little slapper, try to double up, and they do. Terrific play. Barton makes the catch on the batted ball by Newman and able to double up Cousineau over at first, and that ends the inning. And you can see the excitement. That's a good way to end the inning for ISU.
You see Maddie Newman. She hit that ball on the bottom part of that ball, and as a slapper, that is a big no-no. While you are technically, quote, mishitting the ball as a slapper.
It was a solid single for Martin. She didn't waste any time to pick up the 3rd hit in the game for Indiana State.
Dawn, I love seeing when batters come out of the gates and take that first pitch. That was always my favorite pitch to take. People are still trying to get acclimated again to being out on the defensive side. And when you get up there and you're an aggressive hitter and you take that first ball, sometimes you take people by surprise. And I think Megan Hensley wasn't ready for that ball to come right back at her.
I think you're exactly right. And that pitch is low and inside. Mann will be the hitter. Brooke. She popped out the first.
We talked about Bailey Martin, who's now on first base, being quite a base runner. I wouldn't be surprised if we see her try and steal here.
She's got a big jump off that time. Defensively for Louisville in the outfield, it's Butler, Funky, Schneidler, and then Schindler, rather, excuse me. Infield, it's Melton, Ferguson. This one popped up over our heads.
Coming to us. Yeah. Mine.
We'll have to get us a net. And Newman at second, Snyder at first. Of course, Cousineau and Hensley the battery. Brooke Mann, the senior. Another California native making it all the way to Terre Haute, Indiana. That rise ball out of the zone. 2-2 the count.
Yeah, it's nice for those players out in California. They don't get quite as much rain or cold weather as we do here in the Midwest.
Yeah. Runner thought about going. This is slapped into right field for a hit. So a solid hit there as Martin goes to second.
I'm surprised Brooke Mann got that much mustard behind the ball.
Really?
It looked like she literally hit the ball, as you can see, off the end. You see that red piece at the top of her bat.
Right.
That's where she hit it off of.
You're right.
The fact that she got that much power behind it, you can just tell.
Yeah.
She is a quality hitter to
Yep.
get that much power and barely, she didn't even come close to the sweet spot of the bat.
Yeah, that normally would be a ground out to Newman easily. You're right. But it wasn't, and there's a call strike on Peterson. Peterson, a strikeout victim back in the first. So Indiana State, like they did in the first inning, have 2 runners on and nobody out. That is when the Sycamores scored their lone run in the game. Louisville tied it up.
Coos comes up ready.
These are the part of the game that Coach was telling us. And in softball, as you well know, the little things that you do defensively and offensively, execution in these situations, which win and loses games. That's fouled back to the screen.
Well, in softball, because it is such a quick sport, things do compound very quickly, as you said. And so, yes, one small mistake, number one, you want to make sure it doesn't snowball into a second mistake or a third mistake. But, yeah, you really have to make sure that the steps you take, you are prepared for, you are disciplined in, so you know this is the situation, this is how I'm going to react, because you have such small reaction
time. How about that, Kay? Boy, that was big. You can see she's got her confidence back now, too.
Yes.
Look at that intensity. She's quite an athlete now, one of the best athletes ever to come out of Ashland, Kentucky, that's for sure. One of the few, actually, that's ever played for Louisville. There's a bouncer to third to get the force play, and would have been a double play, but it's bounced over to first base. But Snyder kept it in front of her. That's the key.
That was a great play by Kira Snyder. You could tell Sid Melton didn't get everything she needed behind this ball. As you can see, she kind of was throwing off her back foot oddly, and so she couldn't get enough power as she snapped that wrist. And so Kira Snyder, that was great heads up to keep it in front of her and let it bounce off her chest. However, I would give Sid Melton that play all day long. Her arm is so strong. So that's a surprising misthrow. Again, nerves there.
Well, after that now and 2 outs, they've made a move with freshman Olivia Patton goes in to run at second base for Indiana State. A little more speed to hope to get a run in on a base hit here with runners at first and second and 2 out in a 1-1 game. Mallory, a junior out of Indianapolis. She had a RBI the easy way.
Yes.
And that was walking with the bases loaded. Taking strike there.
Great pitch there by Megan Hensley.
Well, this Ulmer Stadium, kind of the cornerstone of Cardinal Park, right next to Interstate 65. The southbound side closest to the stadium, and that's just missed inside. And this is kind of where it all started and moved all the way to the end of Floyd Street. But one of the great sports I think ever improved and taken to new heights in NCAA is women's softball. You've been a part of it. You played softball and field hockey, and lacrosse. How about that? That's kept you busy, didn't it?
It did.
High in the air in the left field. Will it get up in the air and right at the base of the fence? Caught by Butler. It goes to the warning track, but that will end the threat and the top of the third inning. So in the middle of the third, it remains Louisville and Indiana State all tied up at 1. That almost got out of here, didn't it?
I know. You see, Charlie Butler did a great job. Her first step was back and to the left. She did a great job tracking that ball because that could have been very easily, hit off the, you've got in the back of your mind, oh my gosh, am I going to hit the fence? You got to be aware of where you are in regards to the field. Charlie Butler did a great job.
She did, and ended the threat. Like we got a new catcher. Glad you're watching ACC Network Extra from University of Louisville's Almer Stadium. It's the Cardinal Softball Classic. Louisville taking on Indiana State. Also very pleased to have in the Derby City for the tournament Missouri, who will face the Cardinals today, and then IUPUI. And we go to the bottom of the third, all tied up at 1. And Melton will begin things for Louisville.
Melton is one of those really great triple threat players where she can put the bunt down, she can slap the ball, and she can hit away, which is what you want your slappers to be.
Yep. She dribbles this one to second and made it an easy play for Sims, but again, making contact. And that'll bring up Funky.
You see this? It was an inside ball that she kind of pulled a little too much. Again, really as a slapper, you want to hit that ball to shortstop third base area. Or, you know, if on an inside ball, you want to pop it up over the pitcher's head and take it up the middle. But really, you don't want to hit that right-hand side because with the pace you're going to, you know, the ball's going to be moving. They're going to be able to make that play every time.
And you can, that was actually slow enough that the Sims was able to make the underhand throw, which indicates that if the ball's hit harder like that one, but again, great job at the shortstop, just picked it off. That ball was hit right on the nose, but you got to tip your cap to the Indiana State defense there, particularly at short.
That was a well-struck ball, as you see. Celine Funky, she really just sees the ball so well. Great play there by the shortstop, number 5.
Yep. And here comes Hensley. Megan popped out to short back in the first inning. Indiana State a run, 4 hits, no errors. Louisville 1 run, 3 hits, and playing errorless softball. That's high and outside. Indiana State looking for its 8th win against 3 losses. Louisville 7-6 on that lengthy trip and playing at home for the first time in the 2019 season. Popped up on the right side. Second baseman goes out, and that's Sims to call off the right fielder to make the play.
Again, you can see Sims's speed on that. Normally, you would want your right fielder to be coming in on that ball. It's easier to see a ball coming in on it, moving forward, as opposed to you see Sims going backwards into the side. But she's so speedy, her right fielder, I can imagine this cold doesn't even bother Amanda Garcia.
Probably not. There's a good look at the right-handed batter. Well, I had a sister and brother-in-law that put a lot of money into Indiana State with their kids. There's a swing and a miss. And now Megan really has the everything back in order. You can tell she's so confident in the team around her. And I think now this is what we're going to see the rest of the way from both of these.
That is a great rise ball on the outside corner there by Megan Hensley to catch Guercio swinging.
That ball a little bit outside. Eklinski, freshman, again, that Florida native. She hit a fly ball to right. And her only at bat, as Schindler took care of it. Foul. Well, Megan's throwing strikes now. She struggled. Her pitch count early. Now, that was pitch 64. But she probably had about 18 pitches in the first inning, I think. And the only run scored by Indiana State was when the bases were loaded and the walk. Popped up, should be playable, and Newman calls and makes the play.
Newman is one of those players that I don't think gets enough credit. She is so good at just the intangibles. As a coach, you want to see that, for lack of a better term, that blue-collar work ethic. And, Maddie Newman, she's diving for balls in practice. I mean, she is head to toe just filthy from making sure that if there is a ball in her vicinity, she is going after it. And so, just watching a player like that, you want to root for them because you're like, gosh, she gives it all the time.
Yes, she does. And this one chopped foul outside of first. And you need somebody like that on the infield too, don't you?
Absolutely. Well, and I think your middle infielders especially, you have to be scrappy. And you have to be quick because you have more ground to cover as opposed to first and third. Your middle infielders really need to be those scrappy players that give those intangibles all the time.
2 out and nobody on for Indiana State, and there's a swing and a miss, and that'll end the inning in an impressive inning. Great strikeout there to end it for Hensley.
Megan is really hitting her stride, pun intended. You see this pitch. She hits that spot. It's that outside rise ball. That was a great pitch.
Middle of the fourth, we remain tied 1-1 Indiana State and Louisville. See, hope you're enjoying your Friday as you come to the end of the work week. Taking in a little softball here in Louisville, Kentucky. Our backdrop, Ulmer Stadium, part of Cardinal Park on the University of Louisville campus. Along with Suzanne Bush, I'm Don Russell, and our ACC Network Extra crew here for Louisville and Indiana State as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning in a 1-1 game. And Ferguson will begin things for Louisville. She is flied to left field in her only at-bat today. Both runs came in the second inning. Or in the first 2 innings, I should say. That's just on the inside part of the plate. Indiana State actually scored with the bases loaded and a walk. And then the Cardinals came back to tie the game in the bottom of the second inning. And that's where we stand right now. Good protection of the plate by Ferguson as that's fouled down in the corner.
Caitlin Ferguson did a good job stepping over and stepping toward that ball, which is what you have to do on an outside pitch. You cannot pull an outside pitch. You have to step toward it and drive that ball toward that outside pitch.
There's a good look at Caitlin as the Cardinals in their Adidas gear and the rosy cheeks from the cold weather. Another foul in foul territory, might be playable and just out of range, giving chase. A couple of Indiana State players from both first and right field.
Leslie Sims was over there in the mix, too. She is just so fast.
I think she just likes to run. What do you think?
Once upon a time, Don, when I had wheels, I would have been there, too.
Yeah. I bet you could. I was a lowly kicker. That's all I could do. Got my college paid for. That was the ultimate goal.
All right.
And a broadcasting degree, of course, on top of that. Ferguson, a junior out of Versailles, and has been really had a terrific career here. And gosh, it's hard to believe she's a junior. Seemed like she just came yesterday. And there's a good pitch.
Strikes out looking.
Wow. Both of them have settled down well. And when you talk about the pitch count, that's only 51 pitches thus far for Snyder.
You see this pitch.
Yep. Ooh.
That's a tough
That's a
call.
close one.
I don't know if I thought that was a little outside myself.
Yep.
So
There's a line shot to short. And quickly one away.
again, I have to say, I love that aggressiveness of Rebecca Chung to take that first ball.
Yeah.
But as you can see, that was an outside pitch. And like we just talked about, you cannot pull an outside pitch and get your power behind it. You
Yep.
must step toward the ball. And so she lost some of her power because she tried to pull it.
Will that be something, I guess, since she's a freshman in time, if she gets to see probably more video and things that she saw in high school,
She'll make
she
adjustments.
can improve those adjustments?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a big adjustment from high school to college and softball, too. I mean, it's a whole different speed. And
In any sport, it is tough to go because, all of these athletes are the cream of the crop of the high schools that they are coming from. And so you are going from being the best of the best to then coming into college where, yes, you might make an impact, but you're low man on the totem pole, let's be
Absolutely.
honest. So it's a different mentality. It's very humbling for most, like, whoa, I need to be put in my place a little bit. And so not to say Rebecca Chung is in that scenario by any means. But yeah, I mean, you got to learn the systems. It's a whole nother process of learning and going through the increments of as you move forward.
this one fouled off to the left and at the plate. Snyder responsible for the Cardinal run with an RBI single back in the second inning that tied the game at 1, where we stand right now in the bottom half of the fourth with 2 out and nobody on. Good eye this time. By the way, it's 200 down the left and right field lines, 220 to straightaway center, but it's about a 12-foot high fence. So if you get it up in the air, you can get it out. But I've seen screamers just go off the wall out there. And if you hit it really well, it'll be with Jeremy Noe in the broadcast center across the street in left field.
We'll get Jeremy shagging balls.
Yeah, if you hear something on the door knocking, it'll probably be a softball.
Well, if there's anybody that has the capability between Rebecca Chung and Kira Snyder, those are 2 bats
Yeah, you're right.
that have the capability of getting that ball there.
Yep, and a good job of Snyder at the plate. She works a walk.
One of those quality at-bats that Coach Hawley always hits home about.
That's what it takes early in the season because, as you mentioned, Snyder, sometimes it doesn't get really easy if you get off to a slow start, but that's really good for her confidence. She's been on base twice, knocked in the only run.
Yeah, she needed that. She definitely needed these 2 at-bats. Maybe she just wanted to be at home.
Yeah, there you go. Here's Charlie Butler. Charlie, a strikeout victim, went after a bad pitch, and that one just off the outside corner after the long pause. Butler 5'5" with great speed, good defender. They have high hopes for this young lady. Popped up in foul ground, looks like it's going to be playable and is. It's taken care of.
Slappers to try and switch up their momentum a little bit.
That would make sense. If you're on the move and you're fooled by the pitch, might tie you in knots. That's a great point. There's a good bunt, and this young lady can run, and you can call her safe.
So fast.
Wow.
Even against the arm of Sid Melton, who's got a cannon of an arm, let me tell you guys.
Here it is.
If you see...
Jeez.
You see Sid coming up and taking that ball, and Sid threw a rocket over to Kira Snyder, but Leslie Sims was practically all the way to the outfield already. She is just so fast.
Yeah, she gets the hit, and there's a hit from Martin, and runners now at first and second and nobody out. So this is kind of what happened in the top of the first inning. But, Sims being that left-handed batter, that extra step, there's no way you're going to ever. She can beat out a play to second base.
Yes.
Not many people could do that.
Slapper or not,
Right.
Leslie Sims is just fast. She has wheels on her.
Going to have a pitching change, it looks like, and
Taylor Roby.
yep, Taylor Roby will watch her warm up a little bit and tell you right now it's 1-1, and with the pitching change, we'll give you the specifics on Roby, and she's one that I know Coach is very high on.
You
And
see
then
Megan
Hensley
Hensley's.
will go in defensively.
So she'll go take the place of Riley Schneider in right field.
Yeah, you don't want to lose her bat, that's for sure.
Correct.
And what about Roby? I know Coach is pretty high on her, and young player.
Interesting story about Taylor Roby. So Taylor Roby graduated high school early and ended up joining the team last January.
Oh, that's cool.
So she's had a full year to be with this team. She traveled with the team last spring. She's a redshirt freshman, so this is her first official year playing. Still has 4 years of eligibility. But she was able to build that camaraderie with the team. She was able to travel with them. She was able to learn the systems. And so she's almost like a seasoned veteran, even though this is her first home start for the Cards.
Oh, I bet this is something special for her, too. Roby, 5'8", redshirt freshman, Mount Washington, Kentucky, Bullitt East High School. And that just shows how the softball has really grown. It's been great in Louisville for years, but now it's sprouting out to the contiguous counties, too.
Well, and it obviously runs in the family. Taylor's older sister, Megan, was a 5-time All-American here at Bellarmine University, a Division II school.
5-time?
Yes,
Holy cow.
Right.
That's some hardware now.
And Taylor Roby was the 2016 Louisville Softball Player of the Year, so she comes in with quite a pedigree.
And they get the force out at third to get the lead player, and that's a good defensive play. That's quite a story.
Yes.
Wow.
And you can see Sid Melton with this put out here. Watch her. She's going to step on plate or step on the base, and you can tell she's just fired up. She had some energy there.
And if you joined us late, she took one in the
off the face.
kisser. Yep, back in the first inning on a ball that bounced strangely down to, it was a base hit down the third baseline, and she toughed it out. Here's Bella Peterson. Peterson has struck out twice, both in the first and third innings. Left-handed batter, sophomore from Plainfield, Illinois. Infield coming in on the swing, and Megan gets ahead, or excuse me, Roby gets ahead quickly. No balls and 2 strikes.
Taylor Roby bringing the heat on that ball. That came in whizzing.
Of course, you notice the pitchers wearing the protective helmets or protective gear, so to speak. That is a requirement now in college softball.
Well, you think about it, and yes, you should be more upright when you release the ball, but you're still in a precarious situation as a pitcher in that you're off balance. You've just thrown a ball. You have to make sure that you get back in time to react, where most of the time it's because it's coming back at you so quickly, it's tough to react, period. So I like that they have to wear the face masks.
I've seen it too many times before. I mean, it's amazing that somebody really wasn't hurt permanently because it's just a short distance and reaction time. And I think that's a good move. And I understand a lot of the high schools are using it for more players as well. Just it's a safety thing.
Well, and I think in high school, too, the first and third basemen really are wearing them a lot. You'll see the first and third basemen in high school come in even further than in college.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, they are almost even with the pitcher in some cases, depending on who's up at the plate. And so you think about that and how close they are, how fast the ball is coming out of the pitcher's hand, and then coming off this crazy cool metal bat that has all sorts of technology built into it as well. I mean, that thing is coming flying off that bat.
Yeah, it's a stick that can do some damage, that's for
No
sure,
joke.
and do different things. Full count now on Peterson from Roby. 1 out in the inning, 1-1 game. 2 players aboard for Indiana State. Martin at second, Mann at first. And that's a big strikeout there for Roby for out number 2. She needed that in a big-time way.
I love watching Taylor Roby's intensity here. You see that outside rise ball. I mean, that was a nasty pitch. That was nice.
So that's the second out. And now we go to Barton. Shane, the senior out of Prior Lake, Minnesota, or as they would say, Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. She's been hit by a pitch and reached on a fielder's choice today. Slaps this one right off to the right of the plate.
You can see how fast, based on that last swing, how fast Taylor Roby is throwing that ball into play, because Shea Barton, watch this ball. She was behind it. I mean, that ball is coming so quickly.
There you see the communication we've talked about when the pitcher in the circle checks into the dugout. Then it goes sometimes through the catcher. Big part of the game. That one goes back to the screen. And Cousineau able to get it off one hop, but that does move the runners up. And you're in a situation now with a base hit. Certainly one run would score, but with two down, it could be a two-run situation. But right now, Hensley has to pay attention to Barton.
That release point, you could see she was going for a nice high ball to see if she could get Shea Barton to swing. And the release point was just a hair too late, which projected the ball up over Cousineau's head.
Yep. Well, deuces are wild. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 2 runs scored in the game, one by each the Cardinals and Indiana State. That's a line shot just by the cutter hitter center. And down in the corner it goes.
I'm talking about quality at-bats. Shea Barton just in the batting circle, battling, making sure that she's hitting pitches that are in the strike zone, even if she's as far behind it as she is, fouling it off into right field.
2-2 again, right back to the pitcher, and Roby will make the play, and she gets out of the jam. And a big, big pitching opportunity by Roby, and she gets the job done as we're in the middle of the 5th inning now. What a great pitch.
Clutch pitching here. As you see, she hit that rise ball yet again.
Man now set to get behind the plate with plate umpire Robbie Guest.
Which, to put that in perspective, Megan Hensley, who only pitched 4 innings, had 76 total pitches.
Right. Then foul ground, a pop-up off the bat of Cousineau, taken care of by Barton in foul ground. That's a great point. That shows how, well, again, I would have been in knots. You know, it's your home opener. There's a good pitch here, though, again. Got the pop-up.
Yeah.
These 2 pitchers, we'll count 3, Hensley and now Roby. They know what to do with the ball, that's for sure. There's a run-up by Newman, and Maddie fouls it away. Osceola, Indiana, the sophomore. You could tell Louisville likes, as most teams do, get plenty of left-handed batters with that extra step. And that's a ball. You can forget about the sunshine today. It's supposed to clear up a little bit more tomorrow, but don't hang around to play outside on Sunday because it's going to snow.
Right.
Just got a piece of that one to stay alive.
I tell you what I would love to see here. Watching Maddie Newman's footwork, she doesn't seem to get set. She's kind of
active in there,
twinkle toes a little bit. And I understand that you want to, be movable, be agile. Now she seems a little more set, but that last one, she just couldn't seem to get her feet right.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, when you're in that batter's box and she's now going back to the dugout, and that's a big second out there.
Yes.
And now Cindy Melton. Cindy, a strikeout victim and a ground out. And another left-handed batter as she runs up on the strike.
I'm actually surprised to see her setting up there as a slapper
Yeah.
with 2 outs. They're just trying to get offensive started at this point. Get some sort of offensive start. Get her on base.
Well, the infield's in, that's for sure. Because inside the bag are a couple of steps toward the plate at first and third. And then you got the second baseman, Sims, playing a little deeper for the left-handed batter, but 2 balls and 1 strike to count. You see the glance over to the Sycamore dugout. Now the pitch plate. We got her on the elbow.
There's that quality at bat that Holly is looking for, that Coach Holly wants and expects of her players. And she really looks to Sid Melton to be the person that others look to. And so that was exactly what Coach Holly wants in her players.
Yep, and she got it. And again, another left-handed batter.
It only stings for a minute, right? Get over it. Take a bruise for your team.
And here's Funky. And she's been anything but that today. She had the big triple in the first inning and then lined out in the third. Out of Carmel, Indiana. And a steady player now as a junior. Be the Cardinals and Missouri out of the SEC after this one.
Here comes Coach Pooch.
Yep. Coach Pooch on his way out there to bring everybody in the middle. You know, he's been a successful head coach in a couple of different places, but he came to Indiana State after being an assistant at IU. And obviously, I think everybody's really pleased with the hire.
Yeah, he comes with a great pedigree.
Yep. And you look at some of the teams they played, too. I mean, neither one of these teams has had an easy schedule. But when you see Kansas, UMass, Arizona, that's Mizzou's, what they've been able to play. And then on the other hand, Indiana State. Dayton, Chattanooga.
There's
Stetson.
A great drive
How
there.
about that?
To left center.
That's the at-bat you're talking about right there. And Funky.
Just consistency. That's what Celine Funky brings to this lineup. She brings energy and consistency.
And she's happy.
Well, there it is. You see her she just sees the ball. Honestly, she just meets it. She didn't even swing that hard, but because Schneider throws the ball so hard, you don't have to swing all the way through. You don't have to swing for the fences. Just get a base hit. Meet the ball and get a base hit. That is a quality at bat. Coach Holly will be pleased with that.
Yeah, you bet she will. Here's Hensley. Megan at the plate is popped out twice, once to short and shallow left field, and once at second base.
Hensley twice. You can tell she gets baited by those rise balls and balls that are, up further in the strike zone. She likes to hit those, but she has to be able to bring her hands up to meet the ball as opposed to dipping that shoulder, because she's popped him up twice now.
Yeah, she wants to keep it out of the air, that's for sure, and force the Sycamores to make a play. That's hit high in the air to left center field. And it's taken care of. And again, a threat but nothing doing, as we now have completed 5 innings of play. We're still tied at 1.
And you see Megan Hensley take this ball. She drives it, but again, if you watch her, she dips that back shoulder. And because of that, yes, she hit the ball harder this time, got more of the ball on that barrel, but she dipped her shoulder. And so that's what sends it up into the air. She's got.
Along with Suzanne Bush, I'm Don Russell. Glad you're watching ACC Extra Softball here at the University of Louisville Cardinals Softball Classic, the opening game. Schedule changed a little bit, but we have Indiana State and the host Louisville Cardinals all knotted up at 1 as we go to the top half of the 6th inning.
There's some off-speed.
Yeah, really took something off that pitch
Wow,
from Roby.
that is a wicked pitch. For how hard Roby normally throws her fastballs, to be able to switch up and make that off-speed pitch that slow is incredible.
And Marciek fouls it off to the left and quickly down 2 strikes. Well, it started out as if through the first 2 innings that it might be a game that produced a lot of runs, but the pitching and defense has pretty much taken over since then. And here's the 2-strike pitch. Just did Mitch.
I like that low outside ball. See if you can catch Marciek swinging at that, trying to protect the plate. And Don, one thing that we were talking about before the game, Indiana State, you know, they've got this speed on the base path. They have only had 1 game where they have not scored 5 runs or more.
That's amazing.
And even in that game, they scored 3 runs. And so they are able to get people in scoring position and get them all the way home. So the fact that Louisville has been able to keep them to only 1 run thus far is definitely hats off to Louisville.
No doubt about it. And that's a pop fly taken care of by Funky in center field.
See this ball, and again, the barrel of the bat, the angle of it, you can see is pointed downward a little bit, which doesn't make for the best power hitter or power hit.
Now we're going to have a hitter. It'll be Rebecca Gibbs, a junior out of Collinsville, Illinois, coming to the plate. The right-handed batter stepping in against the right-hander Roby.
Coach Pooch really trying to get some momentum here from his Sycamores team.
Yep.
Guercio hasn't been able to get it done really up until this point, so might as well throw somebody new into the lineup and see how they do.
Line foul down the right field line. Well, Indiana State made a stop at Western Kentucky in its last game and lost a 9-7 affair. They won back-to-back games earlier prior to that against Cleveland State and Butler.
That Western Kentucky game, they came very close to coming back. They scored 6 runs in the last 3 innings.
Wow.
They had, I believe, bases loaded or 2 people on base with the ending of that game, but they had scored 2 runs in the 7th inning to make it 9-7, and we're knocking at the door to come back and win that game.
Yep. They've hung in here in a 1-1 affair against Louisville. Of course, out of the ACC, probably many think the top softball conference in terms of depth from top to bottom. And of course, Florida State wins it all last year after numerous times in the title game. And Florida State didn't go through the league undefeated. Pretty close. But
well, they're still undefeated this season far and leading all the polls.
Yep.
That'll be a fun Louisville hosts Florida State, I believe, that first full weekend of April.
Yep.
Which will be good for the Cards to get a few of the home series under their belts, bring in Florida State, and they'll probably say, bring it on, ladies.
Yeah, when you get to the ACC, it's pretty competitive. And again, I think that's what was so impressive about Holly's resume at Pitt. To be named Coach of the Year in a league that, you know, the northern schools have a little tougher time. There's a hard grounder to second. Newman takes care of it for out number 2.
You can see how well Newman shifts here.
Now batting for the Sycamores,
as she
number 86,
is able to ground that ball, field that ball very cleanly. She's got quick speed. She can get in front of it in time. Easy play from number 1, Maddie Newman.
That'll bring up Riley Heklinski. She's 0 for 2. Flied to right field and popped out to second and takes a strike. I don't think Roby's been behind too many batters on the pitch count. She really likes to bring the strikes.
She likes to be out in front. She likes to be aggressive with her pitching. Then when she gets, 0-2 and she gets ahead in the count, then she'll play around with ball movement a little bit. You'll see her move it around a little bit. She loves that low and outside ball after she's ahead in the count. So, but yes, initially she's throwing the heat.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, nobody on here. In a 1-1 game in the top of the 6th, this is bounce foul just beyond the Cardinal dugout along the 3rd base line.
Nice work there to fight that off by Hecklinski. That was a high and inside ball. Those are tough to hit. And Hecklinski did a great job turning her left foot as she stepped to take that ball foul.
Hecklinski wears the unusual number of number 86. There you see that is.
Yeah, that's quite a number.
Yep. See kind of the close stance, and that's chopped foul again. Pretty good battle between the Indiana State freshman and the red shirt freshman, Roby for Louisville. Indiana State has out hit the Cards 6-4. Neither team committing an error in this 1-1 affair. That's up high. It's been a good at bat here.
That was a good layoff there by Hecklinski. She wanted it. You could see it. She's like, oh, and then she held off. Kept her hands back far enough.
See that deep concentration and seeing the ball.
The name of the game.
Yeah. Payoff. Grounder to short, and it's just by the glove of Ferguson. So
it was a well-struck ball.
Oh, it was. Yep.
Now batting, number 11, Becky Malcolm.
That'll bring up Malcolm.
See this? It was high and inside. That's a tough ball to hit, but you saw Hecklinski able to foul a number of those off as you see a pinch runner come on for Hecklinski.
That's going to be number 6, Alexis McCullough.
Number 6, Aaron Wilbur.
You see her running at first base.
Indiana State, number 6, Alexis McCullough.
She is their go-to pinch runner.
That'll bring up Malco. Becky, the junior out of Rochester, Indiana. She runs up and slaps that one foul out of play. You know, we talked about watching, watch the runner staying in the batter's box on slapping the ball, and then on baseball they have it where if you don't try to get out of a way in the batter's box of a pitch, they can call you out.
Right.
Used to be a strike.
I feel like there's so much gray area there. That's so tough to call.
Really?
I know they've played around with that rule quite a bit, but yeah, I think that's a tough call to make. Like, how much do you have to get out of the way in order to not be out?
Right.
And
the batter's box seems to be the batter's area, doesn't it?
You would think.
To me.
You would think.
Yeah. Again, I was just a kicker, so my insight may not be that great, but that was just been interesting in baseball. And it's actually, they've had it again, but it was a ball, or I think that's what it was. But now you're out. That's a pretty steep penalty. Here it's 1 ball, 2 strikes to count in a 1-1 game between Indiana State and Louisville. Suzanne Bush, Don Russell here on our ACC Network extra coverage of opening home day for the Louisville Cardinals here in the Cardinal Classic. Swing and a miss, and Roby gets a big strikeout there to end the inning.
You saw Malco there swing and miss at that last night.
I can tell you somebody that played pretty well last night for Louisville's won Asia Dur, the All-American, tied her career high 47 points. The Cardinals win, and Number 3 Louisville just blew out NC State.
Great senior night for the girls, for
Yeah,
sure.
it was, no doubt. A crowd over 10,000 again. And Chung ready to come to the plate. And this will be a chance for Rebecca here with nobody out to at least move the runner over.
Again, I know I've said it in the past. Rebecca Chung is who you want on base.
There
Or
you
up
go.
at bat.
Yep, but she moved
Oh!
it over, and it pulled her off the bag.
You see
and the throw goes to third. That's some heads-up base running for Louisville. That's why you run out every play, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Leslie Sims, because she is a little shorter and not as long as number 16 for Indiana State, couldn't make that stretch. So Rebecca Chung did a great job getting that ball down. And unfortunately, Schneider's throw was just puny for how fast she can toss the ball.
Yep.
That was not a very hard thrown ball to Leslie Sims at first base. And what heads up movement by Caitlin Ferguson to keep an eye on Coach Holly. Holly's saying, come on, get over here, get over here. And there's Caitlin Ferguson on third.
Yep, and now we're going to have a pitching change. As Indiana State is going to come with
Ariel Blankenship, number 1.
Yeah, how about that?
She comes in with a 2.55 ERA and is 3-2 on the season. Had 7 appearances at the plate.
And you see them exchange the little wrist
Pitching
card
cards.
that they have.
Those are like gold to the
I
team.
bet. Absolutely.
Anytime somebody loses one, oh, you better believe they're in trouble.
Kind of like your playbook, right?
Oh, for sure. That's exactly what it is. You can have offensive plays on there. You can have defensive plays on there. The majority of your pitches are going to be on there. So your entire infield knows whatever that pitch that's called, they can all check. They're on the same page, and they're like, okay, well, she's going to go outside. I'm going to expect this ball, if it's a right-handed batter, coming to that 3-4 spot.
Well, Coach Pooch has made the change. I was talking about it. Really got an interesting career. He's said now the head coach at Indiana State. Came from Indiana as an associate or assistant coach, associate head coach at Ole Miss, head coach at Wichita State, Western State, and Louisiana, Auburn, Georgia, Centenary.
He's been a little bit of everywhere.
That is the Pooch file, and an impressive one.
A great advantage to being able to see so many different schools and working with so many different coaching teams. I mean, he can pick and choose the best things that he has learned from each of those places and compound them and bring them to Indiana State.
And this has been as the runner goes uncontested down to second. As you mentioned, the third consecutive weekend that has changed in some way for Indiana State. There you see Coach Holly April down there at third base. Just missed the outside part of the plate. Falling behind 2 balls and no strikes to Snyder. Snyder, that RBI single and a walk. And this one off the pitcher's glove. Play to first, but a run will score. And that's why you put the bat on the ball. And coming in is Ferguson, and Louisville takes a 2-1 advantage.
That is exactly what Coach Holly wanted. Kira Snyder get a base hit, as you see it here. She just mishit it just a little bit, but made solid enough contact that it had some bounce on the ball. Blankenship couldn't handle it.
And the run scores and gives Snyder the big RBI.
Number 18, Cassidy Greenwood.
And now Cassidy Greenwood's going to be a pinch hitter. She's a freshman out of Birmingham, Alabama, 5'9" first-year player. Where's number 18? And this one down the left field line, just foul. Yep. She played at Oak Mountain High School. That's one of the larger high schools in Birmingham, Alabama. They play some nice softball in the South now. That one just did miss.
I know. I thought that was going to drop right in, hit that line.
Yep. So the count, a strike on Cassidy Greenwood. Louisville scored a run to lead it 2-1 and 1 out. And they have a base runner at third in Wolf. And that's going to be a base hit, and that makes it another run in for the Cardinals, and it's 3-1. So Cassidy Greenwood, as the freshman pinch hitter, comes through in a big-time way.
You can see Cassidy Greenwood. She sees that ball so well. Her head was spot on that ball the entire time. And the big smile on her face as she got to first base, talking with Coach. She was excited.
No doubt. And we're going to have a runner at first base. You see that excitement in the Cardinal dugout, and that's what you want at this time of the year, especially when you're opening the season. And
you see Charlie Butler now coming in to pinch run.
And Cousineau will be the batter. Madison today has walked and fouled out 0 for 1 as Louisville hadn't put the run on the board yet. Yep, now we have. It's a slow developing run. 1-1 to count. Cousineau, the senior, getting the opportunity this season and going to try to make the most of it. Good eye as it was outside. See the look down at the pitching card. Now the pitch to the plate. Runner was going, and Butler will have to make her way back to first base.
Let's see if they still have the run on here.
Right back up the middle, bobbled by the shortstop, and all hands are safe. Well, that's why you have a pinch runner like Butler, because with her speed, once it was bobbled, you knew she had a pretty good chance, and then not able to get the runner at first. Here it is.
Cousineau made pretty solid contact with that ball. That's a tough ball to field.
Yep.
It had some choppy bounces on it, and with the dirt being fairly wet, I'm sure that ball had some wacky spin on it too, coming off the bat of Cousineau.
Now we're going to have another runner in for Louisville.
It's Aaron Wilbur.
Yep. Aaron is a freshman from Suwanee, Georgia, North Gwinnett High School, just outside of Atlanta. And the Cardinals with a 2 spot here in the bottom of the 6th, lead it 3-1.
And another one that I would want up to bat in a high pressure situation, even though she's a redshirt freshman, is this Taylor Roby. I told you I got to watch practice the other day, and between Rebecca Chung and Taylor Roby, the two of them can hit the snot out of the ball. She sees the ball very well and is able to drive it.
She's got a chance to help her own cause here a little bit too.
Now batting for the Cardinals, number 8, Taylor Roby.
Taylor, the right-handed batter, just like she throws them. Yes, you see those bundled up behind home plate at this beautiful Homer Stadium. Shot foul at the plate. Don't forget, coming up next, it'll be Louisville and Missouri. We'll have obviously some time between games. That'll be our full telecast on ACC Network Extra. Here's a chopper foul just outside the bag. That didn't miss hitting the hot corner by much.
She made great contact with that. Just drove it a little, she pulled it just a little bit too much. You see she's got an open stance to begin with. And the way she stepped open and opened her hips up, which brought that ball foul.
So Blankenship ahead in the count. No balls, 2 strikes and an out. 2 runs in and runner at first and second. That's popped up into right field. That could be trouble, but running in easily that time, as it turns out. Peterson makes the play, and now they advance the runner over the third base.
Great heads up running there by
Butler.
Charlie Butler to stay focused even in the middle of the play, to coach Holly. That's her job, being that lead runner, is to pay attention to the coach and make sure that she's watching all signals, not what's going on in the play. You watch your coach. Your coach tells you what to do.
And that's a big move too, because now a wild pitch, an error, anything could get Butler in from third.
Well, and you saw that was one of the first off-speed pitches we've seen from Indiana State. And as a hitter, the important piece of that is keep your weight back when you get that off-speed pitch. If you've got any momentum going forward, you're going to miss hit that ball. Taylor Roby just missed it. She was just a little bit ahead of it and couldn't get any power behind it.
And Melton runs up on this one, and she's ahead in the count 2-0. So Blankenship in some 2-out trouble here. She's trying to close the door and keep the Indiana State deficit to the Cardinals at only 2 runs. Swing and a miss. Throw to third base.
That was close.
Yes, it was close. Wow. Got to be awake the whole time.
That was a good slide back to the base by Charlie Butler. Again, she took that outside, that foul line. She was almost on the other side of the line trying to sneak away from that tag and was able to steer clear of it.
Yep. Melton with a good eye here, and now it's 3 balls and a strike. So runners at second and third. Anything out of the infield, out of the air, will score 2. And now the bases is loaded. Bases get loaded as the Blankenship ends up walking. Melton.
Number 33, center fielder.
And now Funky with an opportunity. He has struck out, grounded out, and been hit by a pitch.
Celine's goal here, get a base hit. Get it out of the infield, get a nice base hit somewhere. You see she's not slapping. It's not the situation to slap in. She's going to hit away here.
Now time called. As you can tell, Blankenship really struggling finding a strike zone.
Under some pressure.
Yeah, she's thrown 18 pitches already. And that calls for some discussion here.
You see just the pitching coach and Ariel Blankenship talking there. The other player, she's telling her, hey, you got to calm down. You got to hit your spots. What, she's probably asking for feedback from the coach, like what's working, what's not working. Let me know. If you can't hit this pitch, you need to tell me so I don't call it.
Got some action throwing down in the bullpen.
She's got a smile on her face.
Yep.
Trying to lighten her up a little bit. See how cold it is. Red cheeks, and see the breath. And we call that dragon breath.
Funky ahead in the count. 1 ball, no strikes. And she chops it foul at the plate. Well, Funky today, that triple, a line out and a single. So the junior on a 2-for-3 day has her average up to 378. And could produce 2 more here with the base hit. So slow grounder to short. The play will be the first. And it's a wild throw. Now the throw on the way to the plate, and that'll be a 3-run error. Wow.
That is a big error there on shortstop number 5.
Number 10, Megan Hensley.
You see, she had her weight forward already as she went to throw it. So whenever your weight is forward as opposed to balance, that ball is going to start coming down way too early.
And that makes it a 5-run 6th inning now, and 6-1 Louisville. Marciak just did not make the throw, and then it was so wide it bounced by the first baseman and bounced around a bit. To allow for the bases to be cleared, except for, of course, the base runner.
And again, Celine Funky, hats off to her.
Yep.
She picked up Coach Holly as soon as she rounded first base and was able to see whether or not she was able to go.
And that's a ground ball, and it's going to be an infield single as Hensley gets aboard.
It's good to see her on base.
Well, all of a sudden, here in the bottom half of the 6th inning, things have gone awry for Indiana State. Pretty good play there by the second baseman just to stop it. Sims will make the play, but the damage has been done now. With this 5-run 6, or 6-run 6, I should say now, it's 7-1.
Don, I would assume that the first game jitters have finally left the
So.
dugout.
I think so. You're right.
Everybody seems to be seeing the ball better, and there's a better throw.
Yep, that'll end the inning, but a productive one, and not a good one for ISU. Is a 6th spot in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Marciak was much more balanced on that throw. She was so rushed at the play before that, and that's why her weight was forward, and the trajectory of the ball just went downward.
In the bottom half of the 6th, we had 6 runs on 3 hits, 3 errors.
So there were 6 runs on 3 hits. And I think there were 3 errors in that inning. They only have 2 on the board, but I believe there were 3. But nonetheless, most of those runs were unearned. Don't forget, Louisville will take on Mizzou out of the SEC. That'll come up after completion of this one. Of course, time for the warm-ups and things like that for Missouri, since they haven't played a game yet. There you see everybody getting ready to get to work out at center field there.
This beautiful day in Kentucky.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm just glad we're playing softball.
I would agree with that.
That's just cool.
It's fun.
You know, the kids wanted to play.
For sure.
And all you can do is look at the weather forecast and predict what's going to happen and do the best you can do and make the adjustments.
Yes.
The nice thing now is they try not to play double headers during the regular season, but if you need to, because of the weather, you can. Used to hate it. There would be like doubleheader single game.
Leading off the top,
it's changed the last couple of years.
Number 20, second base.
And this is a big, obviously Louisville has padded their lead quite a bit, but this is the top of their lineup with some dangerous runners. They are not ones that you want to give the opportunity. Louisville cannot even crack that door just a little because Indiana State has the capability to score runs.
Yeah, you told me that they came back on Western Kentucky and almost won that game. And if you're going to start it, this is the young lady you want to begin it with, Leslie Sims. Sims has singled twice and struck out. There's a good look at the left-handed batter, Sycamore. 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss on that one. Of course, she's facing Roby for the first time.
And she just took her head off that ball.
Yeah.
You could see as she swung, her head came off the ball. And with Roby's speed, there's no way you're just going to accidentally make contact.
Yeah, just did get a piece of that one to protect the plate. Nothing like being a home state recruit. She's from Hope, Indiana, to get to play for one of your in-state schools. And she tried to check her swing, but that was a mismatch on that at bat. And a big strikeout by Roby. And that's 1 out here in the 7th. Got to bring up Bailey Martin. Martin's on a perfect day today. She's singled 3 times in the first, third, and fifth innings. She's got her average up to 525.
Well, and she extended her hitting streak to 9 games in a row now. Impressive.
Ooh, she had to duck out of the way of that one. That came high and in.
She threw some daggers at Taylor Roby with her eyes.
Of course, I guess the bench knows she's 3 for 3 too, right? Just part of the old mind game. That went off the end of the bat and snagged at shortstop.
Great reaction there by Caitlin Ferguson to just throw your glove out there and try and get it, because that was a well-struck ball by Bailey Martin.
Now batting 3.
She sees this ball well.
Catcher, Roby.
Takes that outside pitch, just as I've talked about before, stepped toward it, took that outside right to Caitlin Ferguson, and Caitlin Ferguson was just able to stick her glove out and get that out.
Yep, and that's out number 2 here in the top of the 7th. So let's see if Roby can close this thing out with Brooke Mann. Mann has singled in 3 at-bats today.
I sure enjoy watching Taylor Roby throw an off-speed pitch. That is just an amazing, gorgeous off-speed pitch compared to her fastball. There is such a difference there in speeds.
That's what you want, right?
Oh, it's a thing of beauty for sure.
Yeah, I see you can like it. That's high and outside. Kind of wasted that pitch. And, you know, even though she's a redshirt freshman, she has a lot of composure in the circle.
She sure does. And I think that, you know, being able to travel with the team last year, getting to see situations, again, building those friendships, it all plays a part in how you are as a pitcher or as a player. Getting that extra semester, I think, really has helped Taylor Roby acclimate to being a college player.
Yep, I think you're right. Well, good job by Mann. She was behind in the count. Now she's worked the count full. And, you know, with this lead, you just want to keep it in the strike zone.
Well, a great testament here to Brooke Mann. I mean, this senior class between Mann, Martin, and I'm blanking on the third, but the 3 seniors for this lineup are just, they're doing a great job for Indiana State.
Yeah, and that's taken care of in right field by Peterson. And Louisville with that 6th spot in the bottom.